Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, Text 13. Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam
Chatur Chaturvanyam Maya Shristam
Guna Karma Vibhagashaha
Guna Karma Vibhagasa
Tasya Kartaram Apima
Tasya Kartaram Apimam
Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam.
Vidhi Arkataram Avyayam.
You'll read?
I'll read.
Yeah, please.
Translation. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Purport. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained by Him, and everything after annihilation rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras or laborer class are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a secretion of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other human, and human society is similar to any other animal society. But to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man towards work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. Such symptoms of life, according to the different modes of material nature described in the 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman, manifestation of Lord Krishna. But a man who transcends the limited knowledge of a Brahmana and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, a Vaishnava. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to the system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species.
Krishna is saying that the Varna Sharma system is created by him. And Krishna has created this is based on guna and karma, based on the modes one has, and based on the uh, gunas. You see, it's not based on birth. The Varna Sharma system, the original Vedic society, is created by Krishna, and this was later degraded into the ordinary caste system. But the original Varna Sharma system is for proper functioning of society. And it's not based on birth, but it's based on the modes of nature that we have required, the work that we are inclined to do, so that everyone can be peaceful and do the work we are suited for doing, and at the same time cultivate spiritual knowledge. So, and by Krishna is saying he has created these divisions, but he does not belong to them. Why? Because he's not of this material world. He's transcendental. His form is transcendental. He does not take a material body. He's not bound by the gunas. He's not bound by the karma. Now, what are these four divisions of human society that Krishna is speaking about?
The Brahmana, Kshatriya,
Yes,
Sudras.
that's right. That's right. And the Brahmanas are said to be in the mode of, what are the modes that they're said to be in?
Goodness,
Goodness,
passion, ignorance.
passion, and ignorance.
Goodness, passion. The Vaishyas are passion and ignorance, and Shudras in ignorance. It's like that. So there's a mixture in the Vaishyas for passion and ignorance. So he's saying he's created this for the proper functioning of society, but he's not a part of it at all. He's not bound by the modes of material nature. We are bound by the modes of nature. Based on the modes that we are in, we are doing that kind of work. See here, Prabhupada is saying the tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. The modes make us do some work. We think we are independent, but we are bound by these modes, Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun. And so just so that we can be happily engaged in the work that we are most suited to do, Krishna created the Varna Sharma society. But later, of course, now we do not have this Vedic society. It was degraded into this ordinary caste system, but it was not like that originally, where people started saying because of birth they are superior. But Krishna never created it, that it's because of birth. No, it's based on our gunas and karma. And then Prabhupada is pointing out that a person in Krishna consciousness is even higher than a Brahmana. Brahmana means one who knows the Brahman. Brahman means understanding the absolute truth. But most of the Brahmanas, they also don't understand the absolute truth. Most just understand the impersonal aspect. The understanding is reaching only up to the light, up to the Brahmajyoti form, the effulgence which is coming from Krishna. But one who can understand the supreme absolute truth, one who realizes that God is he is a person, he's the supreme person, then this Krishna conscious person is even more higher than a Brahmana. He becomes a Vaishnava, and he understands the knowledge of the position of Krishna and the position, he understands the Krishna's expansions. Prabhupada is putting Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha. All the expansions are coming from Krishna. Like we may have one candle and we light many candles, but there is still one original candle. So Krishna is the supreme form of God, and all the other incarnations and expansions are coming from him. So just as Krishna is above this guna and karma, the varna, the brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, similarly, the pure devotee is also transcendental. The pure devotee is always transcendental. He is not bound to be of a particular community. He can't say, oh, this Vaishnava belongs to a particular community. He's already realized his eternal position. He's on the platform of the soul, not of the body. Here, Prabhupada is saying, the Lord is the creator of everything. Whenever we buy something, a laptop or a phone, we want to see which company has made it. There's someone who's creating these things. Even a painting, we buy a painting. We want to know who's the artist, who's the creator. Similarly, who's the creator of this entire world? The sun, the moon, the stars, the oceans. That's the sign. That's the question we need to ask. Who's the creator? And all the scriptures All the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita himself, Krishna says that he is the creator. He is the origin. Everything is coming from him. Everything is maintained by him. And after the dissolution of this material world, everything will rest in him. So there is nothing or no one that does not belong to Krishna. He's the origin of everything. If we think anything exists independent of Krishna, that is Maya. If we think that something that does not belong to Krishna, that is Maya. But the position of Krishna is that he's the origin of everything. Everything is coming from him. And he's a person. He's the Supreme Personality of God, and he's a person. Is that okay?
Yes.
Namam karmani limpanti.
Namam karmani limpanti.
Name karma phale spraha.
Name karma phale spraha.
Iti mam yo bhijanati.
Iti mam yo vijanati.
Karma bhir na sabhadyate.
Karma bhi na sabhadyate. Translation. There is no work that affects me, or nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands the truth about me also does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. Purport. As there are constitutional laws in the material world stating that the king can do no wrong, or that the king is not subjected to the state laws. Similarly, the Lord, although he is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. He creates and remains aloof from the creation, whereas the living entities are entangled in the fruitive results of the material activities because of their propensity for lording it over material resources. The proprietor of an establishment is not responsible for the right and wrong activities of the workers, but the workers are themselves responsible. The living entities are entangled in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. For advancement of sense gratification, the living entities are engaged in the work of this world, and they aspire to heavenly happiness after death. The Lord, being full himself, has no attraction for so-called heavenly happiness. The heavenly demigods are only his engaged servants. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. He is aloof from material actions and reactions. For example, the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth, although with such rain there is no possibility of vegetative growth. Vedic Smriti confirms this fact as follows. Nimitta matram ivasau Srijanam sarga karmani pradhana karani bhuta yato vai shrijas saktaya. In the material creation, the Lord is only the supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. The created beings are of many varieties, such as the demigods, human beings, and lower animals, and all of them are subject to the reactions of their past good or bad activities. The Lord only gives them the proper facilities for such activities and the regulation of the modes of nature, but he is never responsible for their past and present activities. In the Vedanta Sutra, it is confirmed, Vaishamya Nirgharna Na Apik Satavat. The Lord is never partial to any living entity. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. The Lord only gives them facilities through the agency of the material nature, the external energy. Anyone who is fully conversant with all the intricacies of this law of karma or fruitive activities does not become affected by the results of his activities. In other words, the person who understands the transcendental nature of the Lord is an experienced man in Krishna consciousness, and thus he is never subjected to the laws of karma. One who does not know the transcendental nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results are the activities of the ordinary living entity, certainly become entangled himself in putative reactions. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul fixed in Krishna consciousness.
So then Krishna first, he says that he has created these four divisions of human society based on guna and karma. Guna karma vibhagasa. And he says, but he does not belong to any section. Then he's saying, there is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. And anyone who understands it also becomes free from this result of the action and reaction of karma. We are thinking that, oh yeah, I know Krishna, I know Krishna. But what we are thinking is, we're thinking he's same like us, that his body is also made a product of matter. Maybe he's just in the mode of goodness. And we are thinking he is also subject to the laws of karma. But we have to understand that Krishna's form is transcendental. His activities, whatever he's doing, they are not ordinary activities. Our activities, we are bound by the modes of nature to act, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We are working under the modes. But Krishna, no, he's the master of the modes. He's not working under the modes of nature. He's working by his own pleasure potency, by his own internal potency. He's not working to enjoy some result in this material world. He's on the spiritual platform. What enjoyment is he gonna get in this material world? He's just acting to set example. He's just doing his pastimes, leelas, and his leelas are transcendental. They are not material. They appear ordinary activities to us because our mind is completely absorbed in matter. We are not able to understand that Krishna's pastimes are transcendental. His lifting of Govardhan Hill, his killing of Putna demon, these are not ordinary activities. So it's not that he's just some, powerful living entity. No, these leelas, these pastimes of his are transcendental. They're not bound by the laws of karma as we are. Like as the example Prabhupada would give, that when the king is entering the prison, he's entering just by his own free will to see if anyone wants to get out. He's not bound by the laws of the prison. It's not that, when the prisoners, it's time for them to do some work, Krishna is forced to do work at that time, or the prisoners are bound to wear some uniform, Krishna has to wear that. No, no. When the king comes, he's just coming in his own kingly clothes. He's not wearing prison clothes. He's not bound to work in the prison. He can leave whenever he likes. He comes whenever he likes. He's not acting under the prison laws. Similarly, when Krishna comes, he's not acting under the laws of material nature. He's coming by his own free will. And Krishna is saying, understand this truth. Instead of thinking that Krishna is on the same level, we need to understand Krishna is not bound by laws of karma. He's the one who's creator of laws of karma. When we say any law, when we say, even in any country, we say there is this law, the lawyers would know. But we understand the laws don't manifest just by themselves. For example, any country we take, Spain or India, Panama, they are lawmakers making the laws. Similarly, the law of karma, who is the lawmaker? The law exists, but who made it? It's Krishna. It's under Krishna's supervision that everything is happening. This entire world, we were saying, who is the creator? Who is the creator of this world? It's Krishna. He's the creator. Hmm? So we are bound by the law of karma. We are working to enjoy this material world. So we get bound by these laws. We are under the control of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So we are bound. But Krishna, he's not bound. We are working, we want to work piously, we want to work good so we can get heavenly pleasure, go to the heavens, get some good pleasure, or even in this life, get some good pleasure. But Krishna, he does not need aspire to go to the heavens to get pleasure. He's not working to go to the heavenly planets. No, everything belongs to him. He can go anywhere, wherever he likes. If we have a house and there are many rooms in the house, we can freely go from one room to another because the house belongs to us. So everything belongs to Krishna. The heavens, the hellish planets, the earthly planets, the spiritual world, everything belongs to Krishna. So Krishna's actions are not material. Krishna's leelas are not material. They are transcendental. That's what we have to understand. Krishna is not bound by the laws of karma. We are bound. We cannot compare ourselves with Krishna. What we do is we think Krishna is the same level as us. No, he's the Supreme Lord. So, of course, human beings, here Prabhupada is saying, created beings, there are so many. There are so many species of life, right? Animals, birds, trees, fish, demigods, human beings. And all of us, whatever body we may be in, we are subjected to this law of karma, how we have acted in the past. That's how we are getting the body based on the law of karma, but not Krishna. Krishna is not the form of Krishna that we are saying is not because he has done some karma and that's why he has gotten this body. No, that's his transcendental form. It's spiritual. We are getting these different bodies because we are doing different activities. And that's the law of this material world. The way we act and our desires, we are going to get an appropriate body. And under whose supervision all this is happening? Under Krishna. Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. This material nature, she's mine. Mayadhyakshena. And it's under my supervision. It's all happening. And so then now we may say, oh, so then Krishna is responsible for my karma. No, Krishna is not responsible for our karma. We are just getting the reactions of how we have acted. He's simply the lawmaker. There are laws in the country. And so the way we act, the laws are not responsible. The lawmaker is not responsible for us. If we choose to disobey the law and we get punished for it, we can't blame the lawmaker, oh, you made this law, that's why I got punished. No, we chose to act irresponsibly. And that's the reason we got the negative reaction. Similarly, the law of karma or Krishna is not responsible for whatever we go through. We are responsible for our own acts. Krishna is just giving us the facility. He's facilitating our desires through the agency of this material nature, this material world, material energy. She is an agent for the Supreme Lord, by which we can fulfill our desires. And when we choose wrong desires, then we get bad reactions. When we choose responsibly, we get good reactions. So all this is happening through the agency of the material nature, but all the sanctions is coming from Krishna. Under his will, everything is happening. So we desire, Krishna sanctions, and material nature facilitates. It's like that, based on our desire. That's why we are responsible, because the desire is ours. Krishna is simply sanctioning our desire. And he uses this material energy to help us fulfill these desires. And Prabhupada is saying that this is what Krishna is saying. Anyone who can understand that Krishna's nature, he is transcendental. Krishna's activities are transcendental. He is not material. Then anyone who can actually understand that can also rise above the law of karma. He can get liberated. Just by trying to understand Krishna's position, we can get liberated. God realization and self-realization happens together. As the sun rises, there's no more darkness. So we can see things properly. We can get the proper knowledge when we understand Krishna. We are all in need for knowledge. Proper knowledge we can get, the more we understand Krishna, the more we can get this perfect knowledge. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Evam gyatva kritam karma.
Evam kyatva kritam karma.
Purver avi mukshubhi.
Purver api mamukshve.
Kuru karmeva tasmatvam.
Kuru karmeva tasmatvam.
Purve purvataram kritam.
Purve purvataram kritam. Translation. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Purport. There are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some of them are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both of these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take to the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process following the regulative principles of devotion service. Those who are already cleansed of the impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. Foolish persons or neophytes in Krishna consciousness often want to retire from activities without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Arjuna's desire to retire from activities on the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof, making a show of Krishna consciousness, is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivasvan, as mentioned herein before. The Supreme Lord knows all his past activities as well as of those persons who acted in Krishna consciousness in the past. Therefore, he recommends the acts of the sun god who learned this art from the Lord some millions of years before. All such students of Lord Krishna I mentioned here as past liberated persons engaged in the discharge of duties allotted by Krishna.
So Krishna is saying, follow in the footsteps of the Mahajan. Follow the footsteps. He's saying, do your duty. Krishna does not want us to stop doing our duty. So the Mahajans, the devotees, they do their duty for the pleasure of Krishna. So Krishna, this is what he's telling Arjuna to do, because Arjuna wants to stop doing his duty. He's saying, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go to the forest. Krishna is telling him, you do your duty. You be an example. Do it for my satisfaction. And other people will follow you. If you do a wrong thing, people will follow you and they will do the wrong thing. And here, Krishna is saying, understanding of my transcendental nature. Again, so many times Krishna is repeating for us to understand his form, his activities, his name, his qualities. They are all transcendental. They are not material. So Prabhupada is helping us understand that there are two kinds of living entity. One, we have all material desires. We have so many material desires. And then again, there are others who are the pure devotees. So what shall we do in our position? We can take up hearing and chanting so that we can also get free of this material contamination, because after all, we are all spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna, but we have completely forgotten that. And we are thinking we are the body. So we need a cleaning of the consciousness. We clean our clothes, we clean our house, we clean our cars, so many things we clean because it becomes dirty. Now our consciousness is dirty. We need to clean it. How do we clean it? By Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting, hearing about Krishna from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Like in this way, we can cleanse our consciousness. And one who is already clean means he's already understood his position. He's a liberated person. He's a pure devotee because he's completely understood his identity. What does he do? He continues to act for the pleasure of Krishna. He continues his activities of hearing and chanting so everyone can follow their example. So both, we have, Krishna says, the Swadharma. We have two kinds, one which is based on the body and one for the soul. Both have to be continued to do. Whatever is our duty, we do that for the pleasure of Krishna. We have material duties, we do that for the pleasure of Krishna, like how Krishna is telling Arjuna, you do your duty for my pleasure. But we also have spiritual duties to our spirit soul. And that we do by hearing and chanting, trying to revive our Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is saying, follow the great personalities, follow the previous pure devotees. Vivaswan, he is saying, Vivaswan, the sun god, he still rises and sets under the order of Krishna. It's his service to Krishna. So Krishna is telling Arjuna also, you do your service for my pleasure. Then we don't get implicated by law of karma. When we work for the pleasure of Krishna, we can get liberated from this world because no reactions. We don't get reactions for the karma then because it is done for service to Krishna. Kim karma, kim akarmeti.
Kim karma, kim akarmeti.
Kavayo api atra mohita.
Kavayope atra mohita.
Tatte karma pravakshyami.
Tatte karma pravaksyami.
Yagyatva mokshyase shubha.
Yat jnatva mokshate subha. Does anyone else wants to read?
Maybe you can continue reading.
Okay, I'll continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Translation. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Purpose. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with the examples of previous bona fide devotees. This is recommended in the 15th verse. Why such action should not be independent will be explained in the text to follow. To act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in a line of disciplic succession, as explained in the beginning of this chapter. The system of Krishna consciousness was first narrated to the sun god. The sun god explained to his son Manu. Manu explained it to his son Ikshvaku, and the system is current on this earth from that very remote time. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent men will be bewildered regarding the standard actions of Krishna consciousness. For this reason, the Lord decided to instruct Arjuna in Krishna consciousness directly. Because of the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be laid down by the Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. No one can manufacture a religious principle by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of great authorities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, and the Kumaras. Kapila, Prahlad, the Bhishma, Sukadeva, Goswami, Yamaraja, Janaka, and the Bali Maharaj. By mental speculation, one cannot ascertain what is religion or self-realization. Therefore, out of causeless mercy to his devotees, the Lord explains directly to Arjuna what action is and what inaction is. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence.
So Krishna is giving this knowledge to us through Arjuna, that how we can get liberated from this material world. We are just going on acting, karma based, whatever is our desire, our senses are dragging us, and we want to fulfill all our desires. And in that way, we are acting, and then we are getting reaction. And because we are getting so many reactions, we are creating so many lives for ourselves in this material world. We'll have to continue coming to be able to enjoy or suffer those reactions. Now, Krishna is saying that he's going to tell him how to act, by which he can get liberated. Arjuna can get liberated. Action in Krishna consciousness. It's not that we say, okay, because I'm going to get karma, I'm going to sit down and do nothing. How long are we going to be able to do nothing for? We're still going to eat something. We're still going to speak something. We're going to do something. The modes are very strong. They will, and activity is with the soul. The soul is always active. We're going to do something. So Krishna is saying how to act. Krishna is saying follow the footsteps of the Mahajans. Bhagavatam says follow the footsteps of the Mahajans. These are the great Mahajans here. Brahma, Shiva, Narad, Manu, Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Bhishma, Sukadev Goswami, Yamaraj, Janak, and Bali Maharaj. They're all doing their duties. It's not that they're not doing their duties. Brahma is so busy doing the creation. He does the secondary creation every day. He has to again create all these planets up to the Swarglok, the lower planets, to the Swarglok. He's making sure the living entities are given their proper bodies. So he's doing so much work. Each of them, Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. So he's taking care of those living entities. So everyone is doing their duties, but everyone is doing duty for the satisfaction of Krishna. Bhagavatam is saying, follow in the footsteps of the Mahajan, because they know how to act properly. We like to follow, like now also we say, oh, I want to follow this personality, maybe a sports star or some entertainer or some business person, political person. We try to get some ideal, oh, I want to be like that one, and I want to follow them. So Bhagavatam is saying, Krishna is saying, you follow these Mahajans. Why? Because they are liberated. So if you follow them, you will also get liberated. Understand how they are acting and you can get liberated. This is what Krishna is saying. Working in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is saying, you do your work for my pleasure, for my satisfaction. At the same time, you hear and chant. Then only we will be able to offer the results to Krishna. Activities in Krishna consciousness begins by hearing and chanting. Hear from the correct source. Here Prabhupada is saying, you have to hear follow the leaders who are in the line of disciplic succession, coming in the parampara. It's very important to hear from people who are in the parampara, in the disciplic succession, so that we know that we are hearing the correct knowledge, that we are not hearing someone else's mental speculation, because religion, the system of religion, can only be set by Krishna, by God. We human beings cannot set religious principles because we are defective. We have 4 defects. Every living entity has 4 defects: mistakes, imperfect senses, illusion, and cheating propensity. So, if we are going to set some religious laws, they are going to be defective. So, the religious laws have to come from God. And we have to follow. That's the reason there's so much importance is given to follow the parampara. Because the origin speaker is Krishna in the parampara, and then it's coming through the various spiritual masters. If we do research work, who's my spiritual master, who's my guru's guru, who's my guru's guru, like that. Do the research work, and the origin has to be Krishna. Only then the knowledge is perfect. And there are only 4 sampradayas, bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas, beginning from Brahmaji, Lakshmi, Narad, and the 4 Kumaras. So here Krishna says, Prabhupada is saying that the parampara was broken from Vivaswan. So Krishna is again speaking these religious principles of Bhagavad Gita so that we can follow properly. So following in the footsteps of the Mahajans, the pure devotees, because the pure devotees acted in such a way they got liberated. We follow them, we will also get liberated. Be Krishna conscious. Do our material duties for the pleasure of Krishna, and at the same time engage in our spiritual duties, hearing and chanting, remembering. Are there any questions? Comments? No, then we continue. Karmano hi api bodhavyam.
Karmano hi api bodhavyam.
Bodhavyam cha vikarmana.
Bodhavyam cha vikarmana.
Akarmanascha bodhavyam.
Akarmanascha bodhavyam.
Gana karmano gatihi. Gahana karmano gatihi.
Gahana karmano gatihi. Translation. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, for what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Purport. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized action. Analysis action and perverted action, because it is very difficult subject matter to understand Krishna consciousness.
Voice is breaking.
The Supreme.
It's not clear. Like we lost you already from here. One has to apply oneself.
One has to apply to such an ellipsis of action, reactions, and perverted action, because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme, that is, one who has learned perfectly know that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion, and any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered.
So Krishna is saying what is action, what is inaction, what is forbidden action. And Krishna says it's very hard. It's true, it's hard. The laws of karma are so intricate, how to act, what I have to do, what I don't have to do. So Prabhupada is helping us understand. He's saying, what is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita? Conclusion, Krishna says, Dharma, Sarva Dharmam Parityagya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayashyami Sucha. Krishna is saying, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Surrender unto me, Krishna is saying. So he's helping us understand our constitutional position. What is our constitutional position? What is our relationship with Krishna? Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. That every living entity is an eternal servitor of Krishna. That's the reason Krishna is saying, surrender unto me. Krishna is saying, you do your activities, he's saying to Arjuna, and you offer the result to me. So if we can act in this consciousness, then this is the proper actions. And then we don't get reactions for this, and we can get liberated from the world. Prabhupada is saying to understand this, to learn how to act in Krishna consciousness, we learn from the authorities, from the disciplic succession, for the spiritual master who's coming in the parampara, from the devotees. We learn from the devotees to get liberated. So the conclusion is this, no, Bhagavad Gita, he says, you surrender unto me. And the whole knowledge he's telling to Arjuna, you fight, don't give up your duty, you fight, and you offer the result to me. So this is because we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. We are eternal servants of Krishna. It's a loving relationship. It's not the servant and master relationship of the material world, where the servant only needs the salary, and till the time you pay salary, the servant will work. Otherwise, no. No, ours is eternal relationship, and it's based on love. It's a loving exchange. The living entity loves Krishna, Krishna loves the living entity. So this is what the devotees are teaching us. We act in Krishna consciousness, we can get liberated from this material world. Krishna consciousness begins by hearing and chanting. Devotional service. Devotional service begins by hearing and chanting. The more we hear, the more we chant, the more we will know what proper action is. Karmani akarma ya pashyet.
Karmani akarma ya paschet.
Akarmani cha karmaya.
Akarmani cha karmaya.
Sabbuddhiman manusyeshu.
Shabuddhimam manushchetu.
Sayukta kritsna karma krit.
Shayukta Krishna karma krit. Translation: one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna. Therefore, he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society. Even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna, a karma is a devout reaction to work. The impersonalist sees his fruitive activities out of fear, so that the resultant action may not be a stumbling block on the path of self realization. But the personalist knows rightly his position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he engages himself in Krishna consciousness. Because everything is done for Krishna, he enjoys only transcendental happiness in the discharge of this service. Those who are engaged in this process are known to be without desire for personal sense gratification. The sense of eternal servitorship to Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work.
So Krishna is saying action and inaction and inaction is liberated. So liberation doesn't mean that you do nothing. Soul can never do nothing. Soul has to be active. Activity, we see that's the difference between a living body and a dead body, right? Dead body cannot act. Why? Because the soul is not there. So it's the soul that's always active. So how to act? Act in Krishna consciousness, because that is our real position. That's our eternal constitutional position. We each of us have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna. And when we are acting in that relationship, there is no karma, because that's our natural relationship. So acting for the pleasure of Krishna again comes to understanding our position, our constitutional position. I'm a spirit soul. I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. And then when one acts in this consciousness, then he is completely happy. He's only experiencing bliss. It's not that by engaging in Krishna's service, we are going to be unhappy. Right now, we are serving Maya. We are serving the modes of nature. We are serving each other. We are serving Maya, illusion. We do get some sort of happiness, some sort of enjoyment. But service to Krishna, we can enjoy uninterrupted, transcendental happiness. You just have to realize our real position, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. We have eternal relationship with Krishna. This is what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. That's why he's saying, surrender unto me. He's making us understand our position. And Lord Chaitanya begins his teaching with that. Jivera Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. So Prabhupada saying he's a man of intelligence, one who's acting in Krishna consciousness, one who's acting for the pleasure of Krishna. He does not get any effect of work. We cannot stop work. We may say, oh, I'm going to stop work, but we are going to eat something. We are going to speak something. How are we going to do that? So it's difficult to come out of laws of karma. But if we connect all our activities for Krishna's pleasure, we do our activities for Krishna's pleasure, there is no reaction. So Krishna, pure devotee, he has no karma. Pure devotee is liberated. One who is acting only for the pleasure of Krishna. He is a liberated soul. He has completely understood his position, his transcendental position. He is on the liberated platform, the Brahman platform, and he is experiencing great transcendental happiness. So time is almost up. We can be situated on that platform. We begin by hearing and chanting. Lord Chaitanya says, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you hear about Krishna. You chant Krishna's name. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Gradually, our consciousness will be purified. Right now, we are thinking, no, I'm the body. This is mine. Everything is mine. But our real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. The more we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, the more we can be situated in this real consciousness. The more we can be liberated from this material world. So thank you so much for joining in. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.